Natural Bridge State Park is a Massachusetts state park located in the city of North Adams in the northwestern part of the state. Named for its natural bridge of white marble, unique in North America, the park also offers woodland walks with views of a dam made of white marble and a picturesque old marble quarry. The bedrock marble from which Natural Bridge was created is estimated to be some 550 million years old. Water from glacial runoff began carving the arch after the last ice age 13,000 years ago. The site of the marble quarry from 1810 to 1947 and a privately owned tourist attraction from 1950 to 1983. The site became a state park in 1985. The arch and the associated quarry have long attracted attention from hikers, including author Nathaniel Hawthorne, who visited in 1838. The runoff water runs into the Hudson Brook. The Mohawk Indians that lived, hunted, and fished in the area saw no gain in naming the small brook. But when an explorer for the Massachusetts fort stumbled upon the many caves and rock formations, he took it upon himself to aptly name Hudson Brook. Forever paying homage to himself, Lieutenant Seth Hudson was stationed at Fort Massachusetts in 1759 and discovered what is today known as Hudson Brook around 1760 when he relocated out of the western Massachusetts-Vermont border. Hudson was later one of the founders of the southern Vermont town of Pownal. Hudson Brook is responsible for many of the marble formations that can be seen at the Natural Bridge. The brook cascades down a marble maze and eventually makes its way through a cave known as the Hudson Cave. This natural wonder was one of the several locations in the Berkshires noted in the Journal of Nathaniel Hawthorne, which eventually was published under the title of the American Notebooks. The Natural Bridge site is rich in a multitude of minerals, including calcite, muscovite, feldspar, pyrite, and quartz, but it is mostly known for its rich deposit of marble rock. This quarry brought great wealth to the community. North Adams saw a boom in its economy and culture for well over 100 years because of the mill located there, while marble cutting brought a wealth of aesthetic greatness. Stone cutting in North Adams started at the first in an inexperienced, coarse manner. Amateurs, workers cut marble for gravestones, stone facings, underpinnings, and mantelpieces for the wealthier class in town. The earliest stone cutting was unorganized and generally unregulated until about 1810. In 1810, Solomon Sherman, who was a man of high reputation, commenced his business at the Natural Bridge site. His operation was based on home trade. Operations were continued and taken over by his heir, Manson Sherman. It was in 1830 that Eli Pike decided to start his own operation, opening up a shop on Eagle Street. In 1830, Elijah Pike opened up his own shop on the main strip of town. As the quality and the quantity of the marble became known, a wider market opened up and the Pike saw a chance to commence his operation with the capital from one Dr. E.S. Hawks. The men pooled their resources in improving the grounds, laying out the road, and putting up the mills. All of this was at a cost of $1,800. In 1837, Mr. Blackington, a local man, bought in with Mr. Pike, and the operation continued until it was sold to W.M. McAuley for $7,000 in 1838. From this point on, it was owned by a joint stock company, and the annual product, marble lime, etc., was estimated at $56,000, which was quite a nice amount of cash for the time. Preservation efforts started early. In 1835. Two gentlemen known as Merces, Dwight and Denny, bought the Marble Ledge for $150 for the purposes of preserving the area. 5 acres of the surrounding land was purchased by one John Page for $217, who entered into a perpetual lease from the town, who then owned 30 acres of land. So here it is, February of 2024. I decided to get out on this nice sunny day and go to Natural Bridge in my old hometown. Basically, I haven't been here in 15 years. I did realize a lot had changed in 15 years. So there was numerous staircases that went down from the top to the bottom to connect the upper part to the lower part. Them were gone. And there was also a couple other staircases that would actually bring you down more to see the Natural Bridge and into some of the quarries where you could see a little deeper. Them were actually gone. I'm assuming they were unsafe. There was some caution tape and different things, so I couldn't get an in-depth view of some of them areas that I would like to. The reason why I'm actually making this video too is also if you are a tourist and you're looking to come visit us in the area, there were no other videos out there. Well, obviously the DCR runs the place and it's only open during the summertime. You have to pay to get in. The gates are open so you can drive in there. There is access to it in the wintertime. There's nothing saying you can't be in there. Obviously, I would go at your own risk. If you're following along and got this far in the video, I'm going to actually talk about a little bit more of a historic meeting of the waters. It's kind of an interesting little fact that I found. The historical meeting of the waters. In the year 1837, 23-year-old Francis LeBurn, then living in New York, having immigrated from France 2 years earlier, decided to explore the eastern townships below Montreal. He had apprenticed as a leather craftsman and wanted to get a closer look to where the skins were acquired. Traveling northward in mid-June, he came up upon the area of Adams and North Adams, not yet an incorporated town, but sparsely populated by small mills for paper making, fabric printing, and leather shoemaking, and decided to camp out for a while. One day he hiked to what is now called Natural Bridge State Park, following the north branch of the Hoosick River where it meets the smaller Hudson that flows down from the Natural Bridge. He came across a Native American girl washing clothes, Takanka, as she was called, was 17 years old and engaged to marry someone she did not favor by arrangement of her stern father. Although Francis and Takanka did not share a common language, and in fact Takanka was shy when confronted by the white settlers who inhabited the region, she became relaxed upon seeing the smile of Francis's face. Over time they communicated with each other in many ways and enjoyed sharing the cultural differences. Daily Francis made the mile-long hike from the town's center as they met secretly over several weeks, both realizing that their union would never be blessed by Takanka's family or tribe. The marble formations of the Natural Bridge afforded them privacy. One day, suspicious of his daughter's daily wanderings, Takanka's father followed her from a distance, and when he saw Takanka making love with a white settler, he angrily confronted them with a knife in his hand. Takanka quickly went forward to thwart her father's threatening stroke aimed at Francis. As her father pushed away, she lost her footing, fell down on a rock crevice of Natural Bridge and broke her neck. Although shocked by tragedy, Francis did not seek revenge upon her father, who seemed to grieve as much as Francis immediately after the unfortunate accident. In despair, Francis moved his belongings to the hill next to Natural Bridge for the remainder of the summer. Takanka's father, upon reflection on what his aggression had resulted in, decided to help Francis as much as he could and brought him food daily. Francis, a creative person with his hands, found a large granite ledge nearby and decided to carve an impression of Takanka into the rock. It took him 2 months of solid work to make the carving. With fall weather approaching, Francis left the North Adams area and continued the journey north. No word was ever heard about him again. The site where Hudson Brook flows to the north branch of the Hoosick River below the Natural Bridge reminds visitors about the romantic meeting between a beautiful Native American girl and a young adventurer. Today, the Meeting of the Waters is a historical site where romantic couples kiss. The hope is that kissing one's true love on the spot will bring Takanka and Francis together again, and their happiness will in turn be transmitted upon the kissing couples. Again, I want to thank you for watching my video, and while if you're going to visit Natural Bridge, obviously the scenery in the summertime is a lot different when things are a lot grown in and green. If you do Google it, there are plenty of photos. You can see what it looks like during the summertime. And while I don't have every single picture and piece of information, I do have towards the end of this video a little bit more of some of the little small waterfalls and some of the things you'll capture on your way up from the Beaver Street entrance in North Adams. I thank you again. Consider subscribing to my channel, like it, and share it. Again, I have to mention, if you were coming spring of 2024 to Natural Bridge, I would call the Department of Conservation and Recreation and just make sure that it is open, depending on the construction and what areas may be open or closed.